Hello, everyone. Today, Pakistani Women in Computing New England Chapter is hosting yet another exciting panel discussion. Today, we will be demystifying IT careers in financial industry. And today, we have Jawad Malik with us. Thank you, Jawad. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much to take out time from your busy schedule and being here with us.
Assalamu alaikum. Hi, Afra.
So before we delve into exciting questions that we have for him, let me give you a brief overview of Jawad's journey. Jawad was born in Rawalpindi. He did his bachelor's in physics and mathematics in FC College. He then moved to US where he did his bachelor's in finance. He started in the banking industry, from where his journey has just grown. And now he is the global CIO at Barings. Today, we will be talking about his journey, and we have a lot of insightful advices for not just undergrads, but also early career and mid-career people. So, yeah, Jawad, so let's start from the very beginning. Let's start from your undergrad. So, as I just said as well, you started with your bachelor's in physics and mathematics in Pakistan. And then you came here and you did your second bachelor's in finance. So let's talk about what were your aspirations from your first bachelor's? What were you thinking of getting out of it? And then when you came to the US, what was that experience like? What were the challenges that you faced? We'll be more than happy to hear from your side.
Thanks, Afra. Before I go there, first of all, I want to thank you for arranging this event. And I also wanted to thank PWIC. They have a great mission and vision in terms of collaboration. Can you still hear me, Afra?
Yes.
Sorry, I saw a little bit of blip in the network, so sorry about that.
Yeah, that's
So,
fine. That's fine.
in terms of my academic journey, I was born and raised in Pakistan. I did my undergrad BSc Maths and Physics, as you mentioned. And then, as you know, when you're in Pakistan, there are limited opportunities in terms of, at that, I'm talking about 30 years ago, by the way. So the things have changed a lot. Either you become a doctor or an engineer, and there was no third choice at that time. But there was some interest in the business industry that was evolving at that time. So I came to USA. I got enrolled into Pace University in New York and majoring in finance. So first year or so, I was not 100% sure what major I want to pick. So I decided undecided major. But then as the location of Pace interest in finance, my business degree in finance there, and finished my BBA. And then at the same time, I was networking to land some internships so that I can start my career. As you know, as a foreign student, there are challenges in terms of getting internships. A lot of companies who are offering internships, they are looking for someone who they don't have to sponsor. So those are one of the challenges that I faced. So what I ended up doing is that I looked for internships where there were some unpaid internships. So I landed one in American Stock Exchange. At that time, I was not very happy because nobody likes to work for free. So I was not happy. But later on, I realized that was one of my best decisions that I made because it gave me a boost and gave me opportunity to land my first job.
I see. So I do see that right now. You said like I'm right now in my graduate studies, and in my graduate studies, I completely agree with you that getting internships is not that easy, and a lot of undergrads. Pakistani undergrads who are in the US, they will resonate with it. So I do see that like you were in Pace, you were in New York, and you were near Wall Street and everything. So how useful was that? And like, how did you extract all these networks when you were getting all these internships? So yeah,
Again, I'm talking about 30 years
30
ago.
years.
There was no internet, so
Oh,
life is so easy now. You can connect with anybody anywhere in the world and try to build that virtual network. In those days, you have to make physical network. We had college advisors. They used to arrange networking events with different companies were invited there. So those were some of the avenues to make connections. Opportunities I took. One thing I would say that I had to be flexible at that time. I couldn't be too picky. So if from a location perspective, from a company perspective, and then as I mentioned, the American Stock Exchange jobs really got me the early boost.
Should I say that those internships were the reason that you once like for those people who don't come who haven't come to the US, once you start your undergrad over here, you are undeclared. So were those internships the reason that you changed your major and you started as a BBA in finance? Can we say that?
Yeah, I think internship came later, but as I was in the close proximity to Wall Street, I was talking to various friends and networks, and then where I started my interest in the finance. But when I started my internship, it actually solidified my ambition that I'm on the right track, and that's what I wanted to do for my career.
Great. So now the undergrad, I know you would have so many stories to share, but we have limited time. So like from undergrad, now you're doing your internship. So now let's talk about how did you land your first job? How was that procedure and experience for you?
So once I graduated, my first job was with Prudential Financials. So that was a financial industry. I was supporting their financial reporting department for the bond trading. So that's where I started working both in finance, and I also was doing some technical work in terms of reporting and automating databases. So again, my internship helped me land my first job, and a couple of things that happened during my Prudential work. I would say a couple of good realization. One was that there's a pretty thin line between business and technology. There's a lot of overlap. So as even though I was working on the business side, I was doing a lot of technology work as well. So that was one realization. And then when I started my MBA while I working at Prudential, I also decided to actually go for a dual major, both finance and technology. So that where I was started pivoting a little bit and realizing that both of them are equally important. Also, in terms of as a minority, as a foreign student, I need to get my sponsorship for my visa. So I realized that I had to go for a dual major. I had to stand out with other candidates that are there in the market. So I went for dual major. I finished my MBA while working at Prudential. I would say tough times, uh,
Yeah.
14, 15 hours of a day. It's not easy, full-time MBA and working as well. But I accomplished my goals between MBA, getting the sponsorship, as well as understanding the technology component of the business.
That is cool. So now at this stage, you have background of finance and you're getting excited about IT. So how did that journey progress? Like I know what you ended up doing, but do you want to tell um, did you end up into IT or did you still continue going into finance? And whatever the choice was, why was that choice made over there earlier?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, so my first job at formal in technology was at Merrill Lynch, right after Prudential Financials. At that time, I was very clear about my strategy around my career. I was clear that both having business background and technology background is the great strength that I can continue to evolve in, and I was enjoying both pieces. I was enjoying the technology, leveraging technology to solve business problems within the financial industry. So, although it was again on the Wall Street, I wanted to work there. It was around having different technology challenges, but solving business problems in the end. So basically, my realization at that point is that even if I can grow in technology from there on, I need to have a business domain experience to complement, and that would have been a strength for me. And I think that strategy worked out pretty well for me. Later on, from Merrill Lynch to ING and the Hartford, I stuck to that strategy, although I rotated myself into different roles within the technology, but I stick to the same financial industry until now.
I see. So before we delve into the next question, I do want to say right now that all the audience that are out there and watching this, any questions that you have for Jawad, please write in the comment section. And towards the end of our discussion, we'll be taking question and answers as well. So please ask questions. So yeah, so I see that you shifted from like finance to IT, and now you're in Merrill Lynch, and you very briefly in one sentence just talked about your amazing journey to now being the global CIO. So let's like talk about that, talk about more, because don't like undervalue or underestimate, because there'll be a lot of like exciting things that happen. So yeah, I think the audience, especially those who are in mid-career, they would love to know how the transition happened. How did you climb the ladder from Merrill Lynch to Barings Global CIO? So yeah, please talk about that.
Yes. So once I had Merrill Lynch on my resume, it really helped me. It opened up a lot of doors for me, and I think my when I was getting into my first job, American Stock Exchange job was the first pivot point for me to get into my first job, and then I would say the Merrill Lynch was the second one, which actually helped me get into the subsequent jobs that I wanted to. I would say for my one of the key reasons for my successes and growth was taking calculated risk, I would say. One of the guiding principles that I've always applied to me is that if you're too comfortable in whatever you're doing, it means that you're probably getting rusty and you need to sign up for new challenges. So a lot of mid-career professionals who sometimes struggle to get to the next level, one of the reason is that they are too comfortable in their jobs and they are not signing up for new challenges. So that's something that I really pushed myself. Continuously raised the bar for me wherever I am. Even in some of these jobs, like in ING, I was very comfortable, really happy at that job, and I was at the peak of my job when I actually decided to get the next job. That has been my success story, I would say. It comes with a lot of challenges. It comes up with sacrifices, personal sacrifices, family sacrifices. And I would say each individual, each professional has their own risk reward profile. So everybody should know how much risk they want to take and how much reward they are expecting from that risk. So that would be my advice for mid-career, I would say.
That's like I completely like agree with that. I think if one person gets like too comfortable, they stop growing, and
Yeah.
you continued growing. So from Merrill Lynch, then what was the climbing ladder? What were the positions that you undertook? I know, and the audience would also like love to know that you shifted, like you started from Merrill Lynch, you started with in ING, and you also also worked at Hartford, and now you're in Barings. So yeah, like how was that journey for you?
So my after Merrill Lynch, I worked for ING. I was the head of financial risk technology. I worked there for 8 years, and then the Hartford. I got my first opportunity at Hartford as the CIO for their investment management unit. So that's now strengthening. I was becoming more and more domain expert in technology and investment management industry. So as I went from Merrill Lynch to the Hartford, I just narrowed down from a broader financial industry to a very narrow focused investment industry. So again, as you're growing up the ladder, you need to pick your domain where you want to be an expert. So you are a journalist in the beginning. If I call it like a T-shaped, T for Tom, T-shaped skill sets. The top part of the T is the wider skill sets, and the vertical part of is the depth. So as you're growing in your career, you have to take care of both the horizontal part and the vertical part of the T, which means have an expertise in few and have a general knowledge about a lot. So I built those expertise and I narrowed down onto the investment industry. And I've worked for 8 years in the Hartford as the CIO in the investment management, and this Barings opportunity came, and that was a global role. So I was much more U.S. domestic investment management industry experience. Barings was a global role. It's a subsidiary of Mass Mutual. It's the fastest growing investment management company, approximately 400 billion of assets under management. So a significant role. It got me really excited. So I took that in March of this year. Teams are global. I have teams in Hartford, Charlotte, London, Australia, Taiwan, Korea, China, you name it, Hong Kong, everywhere.
Oh,
So that was exciting part in terms of having global exposure, global experience, and also working with the diverse cultures and opportunity to learn that. Both of my kids are in college now, so I have a lot of time to travel and
that is good.
a lot of time to learn different perspective around the globe.
That is great. So one question that I do want to ask is that you climb the ladder from like entry level job to being global CIO. So for anyone who's like interested, like how did your day-to-day life, uh, job chores change when you were an entry level and now when you're a global CIO? How does your day-to-day life looked in both these stages of life?
From a professional perspective,
Yeah.
obviously, a different focus. In an entry level, obviously, you need to understand the depth. You need to become an expert in one particular skill set, and you need to master that, and you need to prove yourself. As you grow into the management, it's a lot of more diversity of the skills. It's not about your hands-on. It's about your hands-on skills, your ability to look at the problem at a 30,000 feet level, and then your ability to roll your sleeves and go down if you need to go down and solve the problems with your own hands. And also networking. I took an approach like 360-degree mentoring. What I meant by that is that you have to have certain senior level individuals in your life who have been there, done that. They can help you, shape you. You have to have some network of your peers and professional networks who can provide you input. But there's also a component where you need to align with junior, early career professionals for reverse mentoring. So reverse mentoring is equally important because as you get into the senior management role, you need to know this next generation coming in, what their expectation is going to be from us, from as leaders. So you need to understand that their perspective as well to be a successful leader.
Great. I think that this is very exciting. I like both your points where you talked about 360-degree mentoring, and another key takeaway that you talked about was the T approach. And I think those are something that both of these will be really useful to the audience. So we've been talking about your like IT journey. Now let's go a little deeper. Let's look at this holistically. So, what was it like being an IT professional in the financial industry?
Yeah, so a financial industry is a very competitive industry. So there's a lot of new companies evolving. There's disruption in terms of either regulations or new markets for financial industry to explore or exploit. So technology plays a major role in helping companies to be profitable and grow. So I would say 20 years ago there used to be okay a business and technology, and there's a wall between. Business asks technology to do something, and technology delivers that work to the business. That thing has changed. Now technology is actually helping business to transform.
Okay.
And most of the companies who are successful, even if they are delivering some financial services, they call them as a technology company first, which is driving the business. So there's exciting projects all the time in the technology. So for someone who's trying to make a transition to technology or trying to evolve in the technology, you never get bored. So there are different projects, different challenges, different initiatives, and all directly aligned to the growth profitability of a business. So financial industry, I would say that it gives me the excitement because I'm not just working 100% technology. I'm also understanding the business, and with my background in the business, I also understand how to connect technology and business together.
I see. No, I that completely is something I do see. It's not just financial industry, but all these everything right now is becoming interdisciplinary. So I completely understand how it would be disrupting the financial industry as well. So yeah, so let's go
I
to
would
the
add one,
next question.
I would add one
Yeah,
more comment there.
yeah,
And even when I, raising my two teenager kids, one wanted to go into pre-med, the other one wants to go to economics. I pushed them and told them, it doesn't matter which business line you want to go into or which profession you want to go to. Having a technology background is really important. So both of them in their high school took Python as a programming language. So I'm just
yeah.
sharing my personal experience there, and they really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. A lot, like especially now, most of these industries they have like specific sector of like data analysis, and they're like languages like Python, languages like R. They do like they're a very important role. Definitely, I'm happy you pushed. You were not the traditional parent that be a doctor or an engineer. You told them to explore. So I really like that. So yeah, so now there's one more question that we have. So previously, a lot of panel discussions have happened in PWIC where people have come from, I don't know whether you know the word like the FANG, which is like these are the top four like
Yeah.
IT companies. So a
Mhm.
lot of professionals, like IT professionals from these IT industries have come and been a part of these panel discussion. One of the reasons that we wanted to have you and share your expertise with everyone, because in financial industry sometimes we do see that IT professionals, especially like Pakistani IT professionals, they are sort of like a minority. So while being a minority, what was your experience? And for some, like if you had yeah, what was your experience like? Let's start from there and then I can follow up, but yeah.
Yeah, I think there were two questions there. One, what I would say is that the uh, landscape is changing rapidly. I see a lot of minorities in financial industry, which are coming from either technology background or business background. So that landscape is changing quite a bit. In terms of my experiences as minority, I mean, the reality is the stereotypes, unconscious biases or conscious biases, they are the reality of the world. They exist. I had my own fair share where, I felt that I couldn't grow in certain areas because of certain barriers. I think the strategy I always adapted is basically to focus on your work, make sure that you're not getting distracted with those kind of experiences. You need to speak up when you feel that it's actually bothering you. You need to speak up, but at the same time, don't overthink as well, because if you overthink, you are spending more energy and time
Yeah,
on trying to fix the natural human element of it, which you're not going to be able to change too much. You can influence it, you're not going to be able to change too much. So focus on your goals, focus on your vision. And one thing I would say is that there's no straight path to success. You have to adjust, you have to evolve, you have to sometimes change your paths to get to the point where you want to go.
I agree. I completely agree with that. So one thing that you did so I completely agree with that, and I actually this perspective from your end where you're saying that now minorities are not being a minority and the diversification is happening, that is something useful for even the audience, because now they know how the landscape has like changed over time.
Mhm.
One thing I'm actually going to tie back to something that you previously mentioned. You talked about the 360-degree mentorship, right? So one thing that people over here might want to know would be, who were some of your mentors in your journey, and were there any key advices that they gave you that has like benefited you during your journey? So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so couple of mentors. So as I said, 360, I would probably share one of my mentor at the Hartford. He was my boss, Mark Esposito, so I could probably take his name. So I was again, very comfortable at my CIO, the Hartford job. And I was, doing great, getting complimented. I would say I was at peak of my job. So was having a one-on-one with him and asked him, so what are my perspectives for the next level of role. And he thought a little bit, and then he said, uh, "You're not going to get to the next level." I said, "Why? I'm doing great, and I've been complimented. I've done so many successful initiatives." And he said that you are too comfortable at your current role, and you need to get some more bruises on your face. So he was very upfront with me, and initially I was like, "What?" I was like, upset about his feedback. But then I later realized, what he's talking about and what he meant. So he gave me the most difficult initiative of Workday and HR uh, solution implementation for 20,000 employees in Hartford. And
Oh, that's a big project.
that was a big project he gave me. And initially, usually the investment management industry is, smaller user base. You're managing 300, 400 billion AUM, but the employee base is, let's say, 1,500 or 200, 2,000 employees. So he gave me a project which I never done, which is a rollout for a 20,000 employees. So it made me really sweat, and it was a 2-year implementation. Once I completed that implementation, I was ready for the new role just naturally. So I think that was initially sounded like a pretty direct feedback, and
Yeah.
it didn't feel very good inside my heart. But now when I sit back, it was I think 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I said, okay, if I wouldn't have done this project and if my mentor wouldn't have given me that direct, hard feedback, I wouldn't be here where I am today.
No, yeah, I think it was a very honest feedback, but I think it helped you grow. So definitely it was very useful. And yeah, so for the audience who are watching us, a key takeaway, please don't get comfortable in the current role that you are. Please continue to grow. You will not only have fun, but you will also get new skill sets. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. So yeah, so we are going towards the last few questions that we have for you. Thank you so much for again for taking our time. Before we go into that, I also want to thank again PWIC. We should mention them because they've provided this platform for people who are in New England and who want to become a part of PWIC and help all these Pakistani women and all the Pakistanis in the US grow. Please join us. So yeah, so now before we go into our last few questions, um, what do you one thing that we would love to know you talk to you what are the resources that there might be for professionals like IT professionals right now? You said that when your children were in undergrad, you asked them to learn Python because you knew that that was a skill that would be useful. Are there any other skill sets which you think might be useful in this changing landscape of IT in the financial industry?
Yeah, so I think as a technologist, you also always have to keep an eye what's new in the industry, and things change so drastically. So keeping up with your learning, reading is really, really important. Either you are early career professional, mid-career professional, you have to understand what's going on. And sometimes there's a lot of hype from a technology perspective, sometimes there's reality. So I think you have to apply your own judgment call by learning what's really a hype and what's the reality. What I mean by that, hype may go away, reality will stick around and will turn the world around. So you have to chase it. You have to be ahead of it. Data science is the really data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and cryptocurrency, blockchain. These are the realities these days. There's
Yeah.
also a lot of work that's happening with IoT, which is Internet of Things. So there is, all these cameras, ring cameras everywhere in the home, all these different devices. They are sending signals and they're sending data to these servers all over the place. And that, so we used to have, limited data in our server around a particular business. Now we have data coming in all over the place. Zillions of bytes or data bytes of data that's out there that needs to be understood. There are patterns in there, so companies are going after learning those patterns. What are the signals? What are the patterns? And then basically making recommendations to the business proactively where they can go deep and make more investments from a business perspective. So I think for IT professionals, you know, as I said, you're never going to get bored. There's so much out there. You need to stay in touch with those technologies and continue to learn. Don't be static. Keep on challenging yourself. That would be my few pieces of advice. And as I think at the same point, I would give an advice to. I hear a lot of leaders who are in their mid-career come to me for an advice. So I think one of my advice would be that as you grow into from a mid-management to a senior leadership or an executive, your business domain experience is equally important as technology. I think I've probably said that before. I'm repeating myself a little bit, but that's a very important point, and a success for me as well. When you go for those CIO interviews, uh, yeah, 50% of the decision is your technology boss. 50% of the decision is your
Ah, we are getting insider information from you. That's good. That's good. Okay.
yeah. So you get a job not just because you're great in technology. You get a job at a CIO level. You're great in technology, and you understand the business as much as your business partners understand.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was really I was just talking about like resources, but you gave such good advice for not just early career and like mid-career people. There was there were a few people who couldn't come, who won't be able to like uh see the live session, but they sent in their questions via email. So one of the question, and these are mostly with from like undergrad and graduate students. So they right now in the universities that there are, they allow for interdisciplinary sort of a major, and they're talking about taking like courses in like both finance and in both IT. But again, as you said, it's tying back to your very first question. So you'll get a lot of flashbacks for your undergrad. They're again applying for like internships right now. And the thing that they're noticing is that the interview process is getting more and more complicated. So any advice for the people that are at that stage? Or yeah, yeah,
So I think the interview process is getting more complicated, but at the same time, the resources available and ability to go find the back doors into use your networking skills. It's like almost like you have to go crazy in terms of what you want to do from a getting a job. You need to find your back doors. You need to find the network. You need to find the front doors. So you have to try a lot more. It's not like you can be too selective. I would say the market is challenging, and I'm assuming this question came from someone who's trying to get sponsorships or is trying to get
yeah,
who are
yeah,
on
yeah,
F1
yeah,
visas,
yeah,
because jobs in technology from someone who is a U.S. citizen, and I think there's no challenge there. It's just so many
yeah,
jobs and so many internships available for technologists. I don't think so that there's an issue there. I mean, I know a lot of students right after their junior year, they land a job, they get commitments if they have done their job, if they have done their internships and they have built their resumes, they will get jobs before even they graduate. But for someone who is on F1 visa, things are getting more and more challenging.
yeah,
So I think when I shared my experience in my first job and internship, things were challenging, really tough. But then there was a period in the last 10, 15 years where there was a little bit more relaxation,
yeah, yeah,
in order to get sponsorships and visa. And now it's getting again tough.
yeah,
So I would say, in order to stand out from your competition, you have to have dual concentrations,
yeah.
concentrations in multiple disciplines, interdisciplinary education. That's important, and having a flexibility a little bit in terms of location, the industry, and the company to get started. You will have a lot of opportunities to adjust as you learn. But I think the landing your first job and first internship is the most difficult one. Once you get that, I think doors will open.
There was one more question. So the person read your bio in very detail, and he had a question regarding, again, it was related to your undergrad. He wanted to know how good was your experience at Pace University, and do you recommend it for the people who are still in high school and are thinking of going over there? So yeah.
I had a wonderful experience. So one of my strategy was the business program within PACE, but at the same time, location was very important for me.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I made a bet. I was coming from Pakistan, and I did not know exactly how important the location would be. So I made a bet. So a very basic, simple bet, which is okay. Pace University is 2 blocks away from Wall Street, so they have to
yeah,
have some connections there, and a great career program. So they have an amazing business program, both in finance, and then they have an amazing program in accounting, and they also have information systems and computer science. So having that those kind of offerings, at the same time a network within Wall Street, if you are really want to get into investment banks, they offer a great opportunity. So I will highly recommend that. Pace University is one, and then another one is NYU, which has the
yeah,
same
yeah,
location preference.
yeah. So actually now I have a follow-up question for you. You've talked about location when it came to the undergrad. But as you said, you have changed from like ING to Hartford to Barings. How much did location play a role when you were climbing the ladder as an IT professional in financial industry? So yeah,
Yeah, those were some big decisions that I had to make in terms of my family life. Those were not easy decisions. Actually, when I was in ING, a lot of friends and families there, and packing up and moving to Hartford for the Hartford job was not at all an easy job or easy decision for me. Um, I would say that it may not work for everybody. So I would not advise that, what I did in terms of relocating to go for the next big opportunity comes on my way, go for that. I would not advise for everybody because different people have different appetite to change locations because it has an impact on your kids. It has impact on your family because if you're changing location too much, your kids may not experience that persistent social interaction and making friends and things like that. But it worked out pretty well for me. Fortunately, when I came from ING to the Hartford, were in elementary and middle school, so they were a little bit younger. So
yeah,
and then I stayed at the Hartford job until they graduated from high school. So I'm still in Avon area, which is closer to Hartford, while I'm working remote for Barings. So yeah, location played a major role.
I see.
Uh, Basically, what I did is that I expanded the circle or radius
I
where
see.
I could get the next big job that I wanted.
That is very important. That is very important. And extending that network
Right.
now when internet is like you have LinkedIn, you have Instagram, you have Twitter to connect with people. I think expanding that network while remaining in one location is easier more than ever. So
Right.
yeah. So yeah, Jawad, these were all the questions that I had for you and all the questions that actually the audience sent over for you. We are really grateful that you shared your time. Before we actually end this discussion, some of the key takeaways for the audience are that Jawad pointed out is don't be static. I'm just like repeating what you said. So
Sure.
don't be static. Don't be static. Keep growing, even if the landscape of IT professionals being a minority in the financial industry is changing. It will take time. It's not going to be drastic change in one night. But even if you feel like you're a minority, don't be stressed out. Keep working on, as Jawad said, focus on your work. And if you have the right skill sets, nothing is going to stop you in progressing to your next big thing. And yeah, so please keep your skill set diverse, keep it interdisciplinary because that's where the future is going to be. So again, thank you, Jawad, for coming here, for sharing your experience. Jawad, I am taking this liberty, but anyone who has a question for you, I'm assuming that they can search for Jawad Malik on LinkedIn. and they can send over a message to you. Is that something that I put you on the spot, but I think that's something that is allowed, right? They can like connect you over LinkedIn.
Sure, if no worries at all. So anybody has any questions, reach out to me. I love helping my Pakistani friends and anyone else who needs help. I love to mentor, coach. Sometimes I'm too direct, so I need to sometimes make sure that I'm going with the pace of the mentee. That's a learning opportunity for me as well. But I really appreciate you giving me an opportunity to talk to the audience over here. And I've gone through a lot of those phases that a lot of hopefully my audience over here are going through, and I have my experiences to share, and I have my learnings to share, and I would love to do that.
Great. And now, as you can see the banner right now, we want to again thank PWIC New England Chapter. I am Ifra Idris. I'm not sure if I gave my proper like introduction, but um, I'm the Connect lead at PWIC, and this event would not have been possible by the whole team. I particularly want to shout out to our lead chapter, Sadia Khilji, and Saima Chaudhary, who has done a great job in marketing all of this event, and for bringing this idea that we should talk about IT professionals and financial industry. But for those, this is not an end. We do have another panel discussion coming up again for IT professionals in non-IT industry. So please stay tuned and feel free to connect. We are showing you our New England chapter. If you have any questions, reach out to them, or you can search for me on LinkedIn. We'll be more than happy to help you grow and get to your next big thing. So thank you, Jawad. Thank you so much. I hope you have like a wonderful weekend, and you've helped a lot. This will be available on Facebook Live, and also YouTube. We'll be sharing that like links as well, with you, Jawad, as well, and with the audience as well. So you can rewatch it whenever you want to, and please feel free to connect. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Jawad, once again for like coming and like sharing. This was fantastic. You gave a lot of good advices for anyone, for everyone, and I think they're going to grow and get their next big thing. So yeah, yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Farah.
Jawad.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye. Bye.